Elon Musk tweets, the world listens. But no one expected the billionaire CEO of Tesla and SpaceX to drop a bombshell involving the Chief Justice of the United States. Yet that's exactly what happened late one night, when Musk, known for shaking up industries, decided to shake up Washington. His tweet, Chief Justice John Roberts has some explaining to do. The truth is no longer hidden. The post instantly went viral. Within minutes, hashtags were trending. The media scrambled. What did Musk know? And more importantly, was he about to expose one of the most powerful men in America? Let's break down what happened, step by step. It was just after midnight when Elon Musk hit post. At first glance, many assumed it was just another one of his cryptic, provocative late-night tweets, the kind that usually sparks memes or stock market tremors. But this time, it was different. Attached to the tweet was a link to a Substack article titled, Untouchable No More: The Quiet Power of John Roberts. The headline alone raised eyebrows, but it was the content that truly stunned. Inside the article were meticulously compiled records, public documents, flight logs, speaking engagement data, and donation histories. Together they painted a picture of Chief Justice John Roberts that few had ever seen before. The post didn't accuse him of anything illegal, but it did raise serious questions. The underlying implication was hard to ignore. Favoritism, private influence, and potential backdoor ties to powerful corporations that had benefited from past Supreme Court rulings. Musk didn't need to say much. His caption simply read, "The truth is no longer hidden." That was all it took. Within minutes, the internet erupted. Twitter went into a frenzy. Major news outlets scrambled for responses. The post had over 10 million views in under an hour. Commentators, influencers, politicians, and legal analysts all weighed in. Some praised Musk for holding power accountable. Others accused him of playing a dangerous game with America's most sacred institutions. Regardless of opinion, one thing was certain: Elon Musk had just ignited a national firestorm. Chief Justice John Roberts has long held a reputation as the Supreme Court's institutional anchor, a voice of moderation amid a deeply divided bench. Often viewed as the stabilizer who seeks to preserve the court's legitimacy, Roberts has earned respect from both conservative and liberal circles for carefully navigating controversial issues and avoiding overt partisanship. But when Elon Musk shared a detailed post hinting at questionable associations, the Chief Justice's pristine image suddenly came under a different kind of spotlight. According to the documents linked in Musk's viral tweet, Roberts had allegedly met in private with representatives from major pharmaceutical companies shortly before the court ruled on a high-profile healthcare case. While no law prohibits such meetings, the timing raised serious concerns about transparency and potential influence. More striking was a claim that a non-profit organization closely linked to Roberts' family had received significant funding from powerful Silicon Valley firms, many of which had active cases pending before the Supreme Court. Though the donations weren't direct, the implication was clear. Corporations could be leveraging philanthropic channels to curry favor or build goodwill in judicial circles. Adding fuel to the fire, travel logs and public appearances showed that Roberts had attended several private, invitation-only events hosted by media moguls and elite business leaders. While Supreme Court justices do occasionally attend conferences and forums, the exclusivity and secrecy surrounding these particular gatherings left critics questioning whether such engagements crossed ethical lines. Importantly, none of the activities Musk highlighted were illegal. But as one legal analyst put it, Elon isn't saying Roberts broke the law. He's saying Americans deserve to know when their top judge has personal or professional ties that might affect impartiality. The distinction mattered, especially coming from Musk. Known for challenging government institutions and shaking up the status quo, Musk's decision to shine a light on Roberts wasn't just about one man. It was about accountability at the highest level. In an era where even a whiff of bias can erode public trust, Musk's allegations, whether sensational or sincere, had real impact. Suddenly, questions of judicial ethics weren't just for legal scholars. They were trending on Twitter, debated on news panels, and discussed around dinner tables nationwide. Cable news went into overdrive. The moment Elon Musk's tweet began circulating, every major network cut into its regular programming. News anchors wore tense expressions as they dissected the implications of the billionaire's claim. This wasn't a tech update or a new Tesla announcement. This was a direct spotlight on the Chief Justice of the United States. Liberal networks were quick to criticize Musk. On primetime panels, hosts questioned his timing and motives. "Is this a distraction tactic?" one anchor asked. "Is Musk trying to shift attention away from his own legal troubles or business moves?" Others called the post a calculated smear campaign, warning that unverified implications against a Supreme Court justice could dangerously erode public trust in institutions. Conservative commentators, however, were divided. Some praised Musk for speaking truth to power. "At least someone is forcing the conversation on transparency," said a popular conservative radio host. Yet others cautioned that Musk's megaphone came with responsibility. Throwing shade at a Chief Justice without hard evidence could backfire, not just on Musk but on the whole country. Within 24 hours, the conversation had reached Capitol Hill. Reporters swarmed Senate leaders. Should there be an investigation into the Chief Justice's dealings? Are current judicial ethics rules too weak to protect the court's integrity? Some senators, especially from reform-minded wings, called for updated transparency laws. "We have rules for campaign donors, for lobbyists, for cabinet members," said one senator. "Why should the Supreme Court be exempt?" Even late-night comedians couldn't resist. "Next thing you know," one joked, "Elon's going to build a rocket just to subpoena people in space." But behind the satire, the unease was real. The Supreme Court, long viewed as the most untouchable, above-the-fray branch of government, was now trending online like a pop culture scandal. For better or worse, Elon Musk had dragged the judicial robes into the digital arena, where no reputation is safe and no institution immune from public scrutiny. What began as a tweet was now a national debate, one that questioned the very foundation of judicial accountability in the age of instant information and billionaire influence. 4 days after Elon Musk's bombshell tweet shook the nation, the Supreme Court broke its long-standing tradition of silence with a rare public statement. Issued through a press release from the court's Public Information Office, the statement defended Chief Justice John Roberts in firm but measured terms. Chief Justice Roberts has always acted with integrity and within the ethical bounds of the court, the statement read. Speculative connections without factual basis do not deserve response. The message was clear. The court had no intention of engaging directly with Musk's claims, but that didn't stop Musk, who, true to form, fired back almost immediately. In a pointed reply posted to X, formerly Twitter, Musk wrote, "Transparency isn't an attack. If anything, it's a form of respect to the Constitution and to the people it serves." The tweet quickly went viral, racking up over 300,000 likes and tens of thousands of shares in just a few hours. The public was divided. Some applauded Musk for daring to question authority, while others accused him of undermining trust in American institutions. But one thing was certain: Musk had struck a nerve. Then came the kicker. In a follow-up post that added even more fuel to the fire, Musk said, "If a Twitter engineer needs to disclose stock holdings, so should the people deciding the future of the nation." That comment reignited debate on judicial transparency like never before. Legal experts and watchdog groups began weighing in, pointing out the contrast between the rigorous disclosure requirements for public company employees and the limited oversight on members of the Supreme Court. Musk wasn't making accusations. He was making comparisons that resonated deeply with a public already skeptical of elite privilege. By refusing to back down and continuing to press for transparency, Musk had positioned himself as a kind of outsider watchdog. Whether you loved him or hated him, it was clear he was not afraid to challenge even the most powerful and traditionally untouchable figures in government. And as the headlines kept coming and interviews with legal analysts filled the airwaves, one question remained. Would the Supreme Court finally be forced to evolve in the age of digital accountability? Musk, it seemed, was determined to find out. The real story wasn't just Musk versus Roberts. It was much bigger than two powerful individuals. It was about power itself, and the question few dared to ask: who really holds the powerful accountable? By firing off a single tweet and backing it with documents already in the public domain, Elon Musk cracked open a door that had long remained sealed. For decades, the U.S. Supreme Court, especially the role of its Chief Justice, has operated behind a near impenetrable wall of tradition, confidentiality, and deference. Unlike elected officials, justices are appointed for life. Unlike corporate CEOs, they aren't required to disclose conflicts of interest to the same degree. And unlike lower court judges, they often escape deep scrutiny from the public. But that changed overnight. Musk, wielding his immense social reach, forced the American people to take a closer look. And while some viewed his move as self-serving or sensationalist, others praised it as the spark of a long-overdue national conversation. Legal scholars, ethics watchdogs, and think tanks began calling for urgent reforms, tougher disclosure requirements, clearer recusal guidelines, and even independent oversight of the judiciary. Civil liberties groups, often on opposite ends of the political spectrum, found rare common ground. If transparency matters in every other branch of government, why not the courts? News outlets ran op-eds debating whether Musk had gone too far, or if he hadn't gone far enough. Some retired federal judges, speaking off the record, confessed that the public had been too trusting for too long. The days of the Supreme Court existing in an untouchable bubble might be numbered, and Musk? True to form, he didn't linger. Within days, he'd shifted focus back to Mars colonization, neural tech, and AI policy. But the impact of what he did remained. He didn't just throw shade at John Roberts. He aimed a spotlight at a system that had avoided the light for decades. Because in the end, Musk's message boiled down to one chilling, powerful question. A question that echoed far beyond Twitter and into the halls of justice. Should America's highest court also be its least accountable?